gross color. Go fall.
It is this color because we let the plants grow to keep the water quality high. So high actually, I'm able to drink this water. So here we go.
Oh no!
Hello everybody and welcome back to our regularly scheduled program.
If you guys have not been following along, my family has been in town for the last 3 weeks. And while it has been amazing to have them here and I miss them terribly, we are pretty excited to get back to traveling, just the two of us.
Yeah, the last time that the two of us were just alone traveling was in Finland back in January. And now it's about mid-April. So we're here in our 18th country.
Yes, country number 18. And if you guys are not aware, we have a goal of trying to hit 50 different countries and the Netherlands, number 18. Per usual, we got in pretty late last night and took a train from the airport to right outside of our hotel, which when we got in, we discovered we had a bit of an upgrade and they had a little package left for us, which was really nice of them. And then we took a train again this morning from the hotel to near our start station for our very first activity of the day.
So our first activity of the day, like usual, is going to be a food tour. This allows us to kind of survey the area and get to know the good dishes. So in case we want to be able to try those again, we have that option. But it's going to be meeting with a local and some other people in the party. Weather has been kind of mixed. The forecast does look to be a lot better, but I think it's good that we're starting with a food tour where we can go inside and out and not have to worry too much about the weather. But fingers crossed, it gets a lot better. So now, we've got 10 minutes till the food tour, and we'll catch up with you guys once that starts.
Thus far, we've been to 4 locations. The first being where we got some apple pie at what's called a brown cafe. Believe it or not, my saucer for my tea shattered on the table. It was the absolute strangest thing because it was just sitting there by itself and spontaneously combusted. I wish we had that on camera, but we got the aftermath of it. Then we left from there to get some Indonesian food, which I guess is really popular here because Indonesia used to be a territory of Holland. Delicious. It was like some chicken with some peanut sauce on it. And then we left from there to go get some cheeses.
This is what we're going to do. And they will bring a little glass of wine there because it combines. It's a cow milk. It's only cow milk, this one.
Would you like to have it like this instead of like this instead?
Please. And then some meats.
And what you will taste, it's a little bit, it's not hot, it's okay.
It's not bad.
10% of
And now we are off to the next destination.
This is of course, the famous herring in the Netherlands.
Okay.
What makes the herring typically Dutch? When they catch the herring, they take out the throat, the gills, and the heart, but they leave the pancreas. Because why? You can preserve it better, and you can. It also releases enzymes for the texture and flavor. There's overall good stuff. So the herring catching is done in 2 weeks for the whole year, between May and June, because it's like a bear. Just before hibernation, it eats a lot and it gets a lot of fat, and it uses the fat to get through the hibernation. Same as the herring, stores a lot of fat, but it uses its energy for the production of eggs. But just before the eggs, we try to catch them because that's when they're at the peak fattest.
This stuff is herring, fish, eel. We just watched him clean a herring and learned how to do that. Not the most appetizing pre-meal show that I think we could have done, but I guess when in the Netherlands.
This fish is a bit salty, but it's also very buttery.
It's way better than I thought it was going to be.
I'm gonna have some bottled today from Netherlands, from Limburg. It's the southernmost province in the Netherlands.
What's the name of it?
Limburg.
Limburg, okay.
So directly after the food tour, we're gonna do some more food. There's a boat tour that's gonna take us through the canal, see some scenic stuff with some drinks and some cheese. Can't go wrong with more drinks and more cheese and a boat, so let's go.
Snowfall.
It is not green, it is not brown, it is not black. It says clear. Well, clear, we like to call it Amsterdam Chardonnay. Has a little bit of a Chardonnay color. And there is a reason for the fact that it's so clear. If you take a look behind you, you'll see some old locks. These locks previously were used to regulate the tidal change when Amsterdam was connected to the sea. But nowadays we're no longer connected, so we actually use the locks to clean the water. It is this color because we let the plants grow to keep the water quality high. So high actually, I'm able to drink this water. So here we go.
Oh no.
A bit salty with a hint of ecstasy and weed, but it gets the dog joke.
We have done many a boat tour, but this is by far one of the best. We just had a fantastic time just sitting on the boat, eating wonderful cheeses from around the world, listening to the tour, who was absolutely fantastic. All of the team there was so hilarious, and we just had a good time listening to them. We did a big loop, it seems like, around the tour. That didn't really show us a map, but it seems like we went around the city back to where we started, and then we have about a half hour or so before we start dinner. So it feels like today is the day of food. Hopefully we get tomorrow to walk some of this off, because oh my gosh, I'm absolutely stuffed, filled with cheese. But I am curious. Jordan said the place we're going to tonight has some wonderful lobster ravioli. So even though I haven't seen the menu, I feel like that's what I'm ordering. So we will catch up with you guys in the morning.
Yesterday and last night was all about how much we can see in as little time as possible. And we've been a little lackluster in our updates, but we're hoping to make that up today, as we've got one major event going on and one that we're looking forward to the most, which is the tulip field. So we're supposed to be meeting our guide here very early at 7:30 as to avoid all the crowds. He was saying that, I guess because of Easter weekend and COVID, that a lot of people are making up their Amsterdam trips to right now. Yeah, it's gonna be busy, but like he said, hoping to get in there soon, get some good pictures, and we'll update you guys once we get a little bit closer.
We have met up with the tour guide, and he's taken us to the tulip fields, and oh my gosh, it is packed. I think you can see the people coming in behind us. He was not joking. There is a line curving all the way around, and there's signs everywhere saying that it's completely sold out. But we were here super early, so we hope that we get to see some of the stuff before it completely fills up with people. Right now I'm just enjoying the smells because it's beautiful.
And then our climate was perfect for tulips. So that's when the Dutch started to cultivate them into one moment in time, and it was called Tulip Mania, where people actually paid the price of a house for a box of very rare tulips. But I mean, those tulips are going to be gone the next year. So, and that was the first internet bubble without the internet.
This location is very famous and very popular. I'm glad that we got here when we did because it is certainly booked up. There's quite a bit of people here and there's a lot to do. If you're coming here, I highly recommend booking tickets way in advance, but there's plenty of gardens and tulips to see. There's an indoor center where you can grab a bite to eat and a cafe. There's obstacle courses and plenty of spots, plenty of spots to take amazing photos and pictures. And there's even a lookout point with a windmill where you can look over at the tulip fields and just the surrounding area. We came here with about 2 hours scheduled and we thought that would be plenty of time to see all the gardens, but we're actually running out of time, so 2 hours is not enough. So come here with the entire day planned for the gardens. Just a few minutes drive away from the tulip park is the tulip fields themselves. And as you can see, there's lots of beautiful red flowers. And a part of me wants to hop over that gate over there to try and get some fresh flowers for Elytra. But the workers are over there doing their thing. Don't want to disturb them from making these flowers as beautiful as they are. Behind me is Muiden Castle, an unexpected stop on our journey. Originally we were gonna go and do a windmill tour, but I guess it became too busy and felt like we couldn't get the most out of it. So made this unique stop here at Muiden Castle. It is a very interesting design. He said that there's a lot of interesting design choices that they had. So let's go take a look inside.
Getting to explore the castle means that we've gone 83 stairs up and gotten to see what it looks like from around here. It's pretty beautiful considering how small it is, but he was describing this as the castle that you would draw when you were a little kid, and that's really what it looks like. It's nice and square, has the turrets on it, and then a big moat all the way around.
To the weapons is à les armes, à les armes. And if you go fast, is alarme, alarm. That's where our word alarm comes from. It actually means to go to the weapons. Alarm, alarm.
I'm really glad that we made this last minute addition to our tour. Just kind of out of the way outside of Amsterdam, really didn't know about it until now. And it's a beautiful castle with a beautiful moat, very kind of traditional European style castle that you would think of. And typically when we do try to visit these tours, we go inside, not really knowing what to look at, but it was nice being able to have a person that was familiar with it and give us the things that were worth noting. But yeah, you can walk around. It's a very interesting castle. You can see the different parts of the sea and the river that goes in towards Amsterdam, or at least towards the inside of the country. But that pretty much is gonna wrap it up for this tour. I think from now we're gonna head back to Amsterdam and then we're gonna try and readjust for our next tour.
We have concluded our tour. It did take up a big portion of the day. When we first talked to the host, he made it sound like this was going to be impossible to do with the tulip fields being overcrowded, but I feel like the improvised tour was just as good. Maybe, I don't know, don't have anything to compare it to. Now that we've finished and everything, I have relayed to Jordan that I am not feeling very well. I think I overdid it a little bit yesterday. So we did have a cheese tour planned for later this afternoon. That straight up does not sound like fun right now, but what we are gonna try and do is take things a little bit slower and maybe check out the market that's several blocks away that our host yesterday told us about. So fingers crossed that it is still open by the time that we get there. Do you guys want to take bets right now as to whether or not Jordan ends up buying me some of these tulips, being his extra self, despite the fact that we have nowhere to put them? Another thing too is I just can't get over how cheap they are. Like, imagine being able to go down to your local market and getting some of the prettiest flowers in the world for like €3-4. If you do happen to be coming here on one of the Saturdays that they have a market going on, make sure that you have cash or have a Dutch bank account, because most of the vendors here are not allowing us to purchase anything, despite the fact that we have credit cards, international stuff. So Jordan just popped over to the ATM to grab some cash, and now stroopwafels are our mission.
I love stroopwafels. And fun fact, the first time I had it was my first flight over to Europe. And it was the first time I was ever introduced, and I am excited to try an authentic, fresh one. It's some sort of like waffle pancake that's cut in half, and then they add caramel and just press it back together, and it smells incredible.
While Jordan went stroopwafels, I decided to go for more of these pancakes that we got yesterday. They're just tiny little guys. They're real thick, and then they put so much like butter and powdered sugar on top of it. Probably can't eat a lot of them, but
Good.
so worth it.
That's going to conclude it for today. So now we're going to wander the market, see what we can get into, and enjoy the beautiful weather now that the wind has died down and the late is not as cold. Then we're going to hit the hay and try to get some sleep, as we had to wake up about 5 a.m. this morning, and we want to be well rested for our tours tomorrow. So now to head into the market and grab a couple snack things as our dinner.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday, happy Easter, and happy last day of our vacation. Things so far are not going as planned this morning. First, we were confirming our reservations for our Anne Frank tour and realized that it does not actually involve the Anne Frank house at all. Mistake on our part. Could have paid a little bit more attention, but oh well, you live and you learn. We're still hoping to get there in time because our train got canceled. Literally rushed to get on the train, sitting there ready to go, and then we just get a notification saying it's been delayed 30 minutes, which will get us there after the train. So now we are impatiently waiting for an Uber that will hopefully drop us off there just in time. We met up with our tour guide and had to wait there for about 10-15 minutes before things really kicked off. People were kind of rolling in late. I think they were facing the same train issue that we were having. And we started recording per usual. This is actually the first time that a tour guide has asked us not to record them speaking. So we have no words directly from her. However, we were trying to keep track and pay attention to all of the different things that we were learning as we went throughout. Hopefully we can do it a little bit of justice. A lot of what we learned is that much of Amsterdam is commemorated throughout small pieces of art throughout the city. And the tour focused not just on Anne Frank and her family, but a lot of the people of Amsterdam, different groups, and how they contributed towards the rebellion and the resistance against the Nazi regime. We stopped at one spot in a square with a huge statue that was commemorating the local workers that actually resisted against the Nazis that were in the area and the occupying force. It was really unique to Europe. A lot of the protests and stuff that had happened at the time came from within the Jewish and the segregated communities, but this is from the locals. There was another spot that we visited that was an all glass floor, and it was broken glass, and it reminded me a lot of Yad Vashem. There is a spot at the very end of that museum in which it's a reflection pool, and this had the similar meaning behind it, where it was supposed to be a reflection of not just yourself, but how you can put yourself in that circumstance and how we're all one of the same. And another thing that our guide pointed out was that throughout the city, you'll find these things called tripping stones, and it's just like a little plaque, and on it you'll find the names of Jewish people that used to live in the houses that had then been occupied throughout the war and given to other people. And on it you can see the year that they were forced out of the home, and if they happen to come back to Amsterdam, you can see the year that they returned to reclaim their property. We ended things in front of the Anne Frank house, and even though we don't get to go inside today, our tour guide did make it feel really special. She read us a passage from one of the last pages of the diary where Anne talks about how she really wanted to be remembered and how she had so much hope for the future. And it makes me glad that we do tours like this, that there's a memorial for her, and that her family, and everybody else that suffered throughout this will not be forgotten. Now, with that being said, we are hungry, and we are gonna go ahead and go get some lunch now, and then we are gonna do a small style of filming Jordan and I haven't tried before. And by small style of filming, what I mean is Jordan and I are actually splitting.
So I'm sure a lot of people know Amsterdam has a very famous beer, and it just so happens to be my favorite. So I am gonna do the Amsterdam Heineken tour, and something that Alicia doesn't really want to do. Don't
Nope.
blame her. So we're just gonna go our separate ways.
So this is where we leave each other. Bye. I, however, am going to do a best of Amsterdam walking tour. And I think my guide is actually right over there. We're back together.
It was so weird the whole tour. Anytime something would happen, I'd be like, Elytra, and then you weren't there. It was just like, yeah, it was wild, weird to be
Yeah,
apart.
definitely. But tell me all about it. I want to hear.
Well, I don't know. I think ladies first. I think you should start with your tour.
Okay. So my tour just kind of, I mean, it really was like a best of Amsterdam thing. Really walked us through different parts of the city, learned different pieces about it throughout history. The tour guide is American, but he moved to Amsterdam in 2006. So he's seen it change a lot in like the last 20 years, specifically from like 2010 and coming forward. Things definitely got way different in Amsterdam. The city streets were kind of cleaned up a little bit, some gentrification, like it was just a big shift here in the city. I guess a couple interesting things that we did is we walked through the red light district or around the outskirts of it because you can't really do tours in there. But it was interesting. Everything had a particular smell to it. But it was definitely neat seeing that side of it. And then he kind of walked us through how to tell the difference between a cafe and a cafe. Turns out it's pretty easy. They're going to have signs on it that says like coffee reefer or something like that. And then you're like, oh, that's what that does. And then there was also another particular kind of smell. We kind of walked past some human feces in the street. And yeah, the owner was out there yelling at somebody and it was a whole thing. But it's interesting.
All right, what was one interesting thing that you learned on your tour?
He talked about COVID and how parts of the city have changed since then. So he said during COVID, it was the first time in ages that there was no biking because people didn't have anywhere to go. So like you'll see really big parking garages that are just for bikes, like 2,000 bikes that can be stored there. And some of them were empty. Some of them just like everybody had their bikes at home because there was nowhere to go. And then he also showed us a particular bench that somebody had set up a flower box in the middle and then a sign that said 1.5 meters. So there was a seat on either side, but then a big flower box in between to keep people separate. Okay, Jordan, your tour.
Well, it was a very interesting tour, and I feel excited about it because a lot of times when like our parents or stuff would be like, yeah, we're gonna do a wine tour or an alcohol tour, and they'd be like excited about it. I was like, why? It's boring. I was actually excited about this, and it was fascinating and all of it, and I really, really enjoyed it. So when I walked up to the main line, the person had said that they had sold out of tickets, so I just flashed my VIP experience, and they were like, oh, right this way. So they led me right to a special area where we were waiting in a group to meet a specific tour guide that had been very knowledgeable in the entire experience, which he then led us to an elevator, which took us up to the kind of penthouse area where he explained the history and the importance of Heineken. So afterwards we went to like the copper mill area where they like actually make the beer and kind of learned how they do that and the history there. They no longer make it in giant copper vats. And afterwards we then became the Heineken beer and the process that it went through that. And it was a very interactive experience where they then bottled us. And if you were to take the normal tour, it would actually end there. You'd get your couple of Heineken free tasting beers. But we had the VIP experience, which is probably the most unique part, and I think part that you would enjoy.
Okay.
So we went to this private bar area where they gave us about 5 different beers. And he said, this is what it is, this is the importance, this is the alcohol level, and what you could pair it with. So you take the worst part of the beers and pair it with a snack food, and it became so much better and like a perfect combination.
All right.
And another part that was just like, oh my gosh, I wish you were there. They had counted for 12 people. We had 11. And so I had an empty seat with extra food next to me. And it was so sad.
I bet you hated that though.
Oh, well, I ate all the food, but it was good. And just being able to learn how to properly pour a beer and taste a beer and pair it with different things was really, really interesting. And it was really good because I enjoyed all of them. And then afterwards, that kind of concluded the tour. But we had these wristbands where you get 2 free drinks in their downstairs bar area. So I tried their new silver Heineken and the original Heineken. And that pretty much concludes the Heineken experience. And as a VIP guest, we all got a gift, but I felt like somebody was missing out. And especially when you go and tour different areas and they have those little keychains and how they never seem to have your name.
Oh no.
So while you may not necessarily like the drink, I thought, let's go ahead and get a very special limited edition City Heineken beer with none other than your name on it.
Look at that, guys. Look at that. Yeah, I never have anything
Yeah,
with
you
my
never
name
have
on
anything.
it.
So I thought it was a cute little thing and a little
That's
bit
adorable.
of a unique experience. But
Cool. Well, it sounds like you definitely have some skills to bring back. Teach me how to properly pour a beer and stuff, which is kind of neat. What was your absolute favorite part?
so my favorite part probably was the tasting and the pairing of the different snacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong with some free alcohol and then immediately following more alcohol. So that was really fun. I wish you could have been there for that, but it was unique. I think the VIP experience is way worth the money.
Sweet. Well, I had a good time on my tour, so I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah.
It was fun. Maybe we'll have to split again sometime. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to follow us on socials. All those links in the description.
And we're going to wrap it up here, grab some dinner, and check into our hotel as we have a very early flight tomorrow back home. It's been fun, Amsterdam.
Sweet. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.